this thing. Meet Robin.
Where did you get this?
I made.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 science fiction horror Rob1n. The film is written and directed by Lawrence Fowler and it stars Leona Clark, we have Michaela Longdon, Ethan Taylor and Simon Davis. Now the film focuses on a young couple. We've got Leo and Lexi, who are young and in love. They decide they're going to get married, but he is in a lot of debt. So he basically says to his fiancée, let's go and visit my uncle. Now this uncle didn't treat him particularly well when he was a young boy, but he also knows that his uncle is ridiculously rich. And he's clearly thinking, I can get a bit of money here. So they go up there to visit the uncle. The uncle was in a car crash a couple of years previously and has lost a great deal of his memory. So he doesn't even remember his nephew, basically. However, when they get in the house, there appears to be something quite strange there. There is a robotic boy called Rob1n. They ask about it. The uncle basically explains what it is that he built it, because he basically used to kind of build weapons for the Ministry of Defence and stuff, so he's very technically minded, obviously. But actually, Rob1n is a recreation of his dead son. His dead son who massacred everybody at his 11th birthday party, including his mother, and the spirit possesses this robot, essentially, of his dead son. Right, what are my thoughts on Rob1n? Well, with the prevalence of AI and all these AI, influenced movies that we're seeing now, and the success of Megan and Megan 2 coming out this year, it's reasonable to assume that we're going to be getting quite a lot of films themed around that sort of thing, AI, and certainly killer dolls, which is not a new thing. Obviously, we've had Chucky for many years, that kind of stuff, but these kind of dolls that are fueled by AI, if you like, is relatively new, I suppose. And with this being a lower budgeted movie, I think what it delivers here is something better than you expect it to be, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say here. This is from the same people that brought us the Jack in the Box franchise. A franchise, in actual fact, that I'm quite fond of personally. I like the idea of the Jack in the Box. I like the design of the Jack in the Box. I like the concept. We've had 3 films so far. And while I personally think that franchise needs to evolve a little bit, I do still quite enjoy those films. They're a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. So I was interested to check this one out, and it kind of follows a similar pattern in a lot of ways to the Jack in the Box movies. Quiet country house, and rather than a Jack in the Box, popping up killing people, we've got this psychopathic robot, Rob1n, that is doing it. And in actual fact, the kills here are actually quite graphic. Much more graphic than I expected them to be. There's some very brutal kills going on in this thing. So if you like that kind of thing, you're probably going to get a bit of a kick out of this one. I think the film does quite well in that sense, in regards to delivering what it says on the tin, which is a homicidal robot, basically. I mean, there are plot holes, however, that you can drive trucks through, sort of thing. You've got like the housemaid or the carer that's looked after the uncle for a couple of years. She's become a part of the household in many, many ways, and then she gets taken out by Rob1n just like that, and you're just thinking, well, she's been there for 2 years. You know, what has she done to kind of deserve that? And there's not a great deal of thought gone into it, even though the film does follow up with the police turning up, this, that, and the other. But so you have to question some of the kills that are going on here. They don't make a lot of sense, even if it is, a robot that's kind of doing it. There's no way on earth that you're going to get away with this sort of behaviour. And even the ending, kind of the way it plays out, is that there's quite a neat little twist in there. I like the conclusion of the film, the confrontation, if you like, between Robin and Leo, the young lad who's come up to be with his uncle. That's done quite well. Again, it's one of those films that leaves you with a lot of questions, if you like. It doesn't give you a great deal of answers, leaves you with a lot of questions. So I suspect there's probably going to be more of these, and I'd like to kind of maybe see it explored a little bit more. And like I say, for a smaller budgeted film here, I have to say I was quite impressed with the effects for Robin. It's filmed quite smartly, in a sense of you don't get like the full flow that you do with like Megan, obviously, because that's a much bigger budgeted film. But you get enough to kind of believe that this thing is alive, and it kind of works quite well in that sense. So I do have to kind of applaud the effects here. It delivers the message. It's, I've seen a lot of lower budgeted films. I mean, there's been a lot of like AI companion films over the last 5 years or so, like robots that are made to look like humans that are like doing housework and that kind of stuff or whatever. And some of the effects in those films have been pretty poor in comparison. So I do have to applaud the effort that's gone in here to kind of create this Robin, and it is quite an effective character. I just, I do question some of the decisions in the film in regards to the kills. You know what I mean? They're not very clever. And how has this robot that's been built? How has it kind of gone so long without a pile of bodies, in the barn? Has it just decided to kill when, him and his fiancées come up? And if not, what's happened to all the other bodies that it's killed over the years? There are interesting ideas going on in here. I think it could do with a little bit of tidying up, but from my perspective, I had a fairly good time with this one. It's one of those that kind of does exactly what you expect on the tin. You've got a homicidal lunatic robot that's got the soul of an 11-year-old boy in it that murdered everybody on his birthday party. So you want it to go around killing people. You just kind of want it to make a bit more sense. So yeah, I didn't actually mind this one. It's one of those that you kind of finish watching, you think that was all right, for what it is, low budget killer robot movie. That'll do me. Not wrong with that. So if you're quite a tolerant film goer, you don't mind a few plot holes here and there, then you could do far worse than this one. This might fill a gap until Megan 2 comes out. So thanks for joining me for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.